Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff, and you are now watching the Schwa Mill. So, what we're going to be doing today is we will be listening to your pronunciation and giving some feedback on everything that we hear. We have a couple sentences that you can see at the top of the chat box, specifically this first one here. So his singing is getting annoying. Lots of ing sounds there, right? And our second sentence, more of an idiom. When the dust settles, we'll know who won, and things like that. Craftmaster, I like the name. What's up, Emmanuel? Good to see you, man. At the moment, we have lots and lots of open spaces in terms of pronunciation files. So if you're joining us for the first time, or maybe you've already been sending us files for the last couple months, or maybe you've been watching but haven't sent in your own pronunciation files, this is a great opportunity to do so. You can see again in the chat box at the top, you can follow this link and it will go over all of the instructions you need to send in your audio, because if you've never done it before, it's great. There's a website where you can go to record yourself. It will give you a link, and then you can just post that. I will show you that in a moment. Hello also to Shok. She's been helping us out in some videos recently, as well as Emmanuel. Yes, we are going to be schwaing your schwas. No, we're going to be sawing your schwa sounds and things like that, and taking a look at your pronunciation. Let me actually show you the file really quick, what it's going to look like when you want to send your pronunciation. Give me one moment. Okay, you'll see me looking away. Okay, so this is going to be the document that you will see. Let me bring myself in here as well. Okay, so this will be the document that you see when you send in your pronunciation files. You're going to see at the top, it's going to say you can choose one of these options. You're going to go to a website called vocaroo.com. It will allow you to record using your browser. And then once you record, it's going to give you a link. And then you can just put the link right over in here and we'll be able to hear you. Okay. While I actually have this shared, just a quick note and update on the channel. I spent this morning updating a lot of our playlists. So what we have done is for different language groups. So for instance, you can see for Arabic, for Chinese, French, Hindi, Italian, Portuguese, Russian, Japanese. There are more as well. There's German, there's um, French, a couple others that I couldn't put up on here, but different, basically for different language groups. If you're not sure what sounds to study, I've just updated all of our playlists and things like that. So for many of the most common languages that are spoken around the world, Emmanuel, I'm sorry, I don't have Romanian just yet. Although doing like maybe the French or the Italian sections might work for that. The Romanian shares a lot of similar sounds. I think I have Farsi as well. If you're looking for some videos to get started with based on your own language group, that's what these playlists are for. So definitely take a look at those. You can find them on the channel page, or if you go over to the playlists tab, you will also see them there. Okay. It's just a quick note on that. All right. I'm going to take my screen back as soon as I can find my mouse. You guys know I'm constantly battling with my mouse. No surprises there. Okay, so like I said, we have two sentences that we're going to be taking a look at specifically. Emmanuel, I'm sorry, man. It'll come. It'll come. Um, okay, so our first sentence, and speaking of Emmanuel, he actually made a request about some ing sounds because they can be a little bit tricky. And in fact, we actually just made a video on endings, for instance, with ing. So definitely take a look at that as well. I'll try to put that in the comments in a moment. But this ing sounds like singing, getting, annoying, all of those words and things like that, or those typically suffixes because you see them at the ends of words. Some things that you want to keep in mind for this: they're going to have a short I sound, so more like an eh, eh. We have obviously lots of content that talks about the short I, but just a quick review for that short I sound, that eh, you want to be projecting from low in the throat, very open. You also want to make sure, and you'll see me looking away just as I try to get the link. This is the video for more practice with the ing sound, which you can see down here. But for this sound, some things that you want to make sure you're doing. The very back of your tongue is down. The very front of your tongue is down. You're going to raise that mid back of your tongue a little bit high. And again, the sound you're looking for is eh, eh. If you find that you're getting an e, one thing I would recommend is opening your mouth a little bit wider. So again, compare like eh, e, you can see my lower jaw drop a little bit more. Just trying to get that sound. So again, pay attention to my mouth is a little bit wider for that sound. Another trick for this too is also make sure the sides of your tongue touch your top teeth. So even though my jaw is dropping, I'm raising my tongue a bit on the sides to get some contact. Okay. Again, it's like you're slightly biting the sides of your tongue, and there's always no blood. Don't want anyone going to the hospital because of me. Just telling you how to pronounce things. So making sure you get that sound, other things here. Hello to Avi checking in as well. Great to have you. He sent us some pronunciation files again, which is great. Other things to pay attention to. Ang. So when you're linking the short I sound to that NG, how are you making that NG sound? What a lot of students are doing is they're making like a g sound. Some people are even making like a k sound, but it's really more of a sound. You want to lower the front of your tongue. So it's like the front of your tongue is touching. You're really pushing it against the bottom of your mouth. Okay. And then you're raising the back of your tongue. So again, so again, compare, let's do an NG sound and then a G sound. It's like g, g. Can you hear the difference? Let me know in the chat if you can, or even in the comments. Okay. So again, this should be two distinct sounds. So let's now add that sound before that NG sound. Again, we'll do a G sound and then we'll do the NG. So like ig, ing, ig, ing. And again, let me know if you can hear a difference between those. For the NG, we want that second one, right? That ing, ing. As always with this too, you want to make sure your throat is open enough. Lots of air should be coming through. It's not ing, it's ang, ang. Lots of breath, lots of air, trying to keep it as open as possible to achieve as natural a sound as we can. Okay, so that's a quick note about that ang sound. As we can see, one of these words in this sentence is going to have two INGs, one right after the other. So like ang, 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 ang. Notice that linking that you get. It's like ang, yang. It's almost like yang, yang. See if you can say that 3 times, like yang, yang, yang. Okay, so singing, singing. You want to try to link that NG onto the I in singing. Okay. We also get that with a couple of the next words like getting and annoying. Obviously, this ing sound, if you're just getting started with American English pronunciation, or even if you're advanced but you're not sure what to study next, I mean, this ing sound is a great choice because it's extremely common, right? You need it for your continuous tenses, you need it for your participles, you need it for your gerunds. So it's a form that you're going to see all the time. So it's a great choice for studying. Okay. In addition to this sentence, so many short I sounds, right? Okay. It's like his singing is getting annoying. It's like his singing, ing, and then annoying. Lots of short I sounds. Also is. The other major vowel sound that I see a lot of students having some trouble with is that sound, like in getting, ge. It's like ge. You want to make sure that your tongue is taking up a lot of space in your mouth. So you're raising the back, raising the middle, you're raising the front. Everything's high. Again, getting like ge, getting. Okay. Also note that you're getting that fast D, that flap T sound as well, because those T's are surrounded by vowels. It's like getting, instead of getting and things like that. And then lastly, for annoying, you want to make sure that first syllable on annoying is a schwa sound. It's like annoying. One of the things I've been working with students a lot recently is talking about syllable stress. Again, English is stress time, so this has a huge impact on our rhythm. If you say annoying, that's not going to give you the most natural rhythm, because annoying, yes, there's 3 syllables, but only one of them gets the stress. It's on the noi. So when you say annoying, you want to make sure that that noi takes up the most time. you want to do the part really fast, and then you want to do the yang part really fast. Annoying, annoying. You also want to make sure that your consonants aren't taking over, especially those ends. One thing that you can do to try to reduce the impact of your consonants is to try to say it 3 times really fast, like annoying, 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 annoying. If you find that difficult, you can't do it as fast as me. Maybe you're saying annoying, annoying, annoying. That really slows you down. So try to weaken your end sounds a bit. So those would be my big suggestions on that sentence. In terms of stress, singing and annoying would be the places where I would put stress. His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying. We have a question here about the question. What if you reduce the N sounds to just N? Yeah, and that's something that, especially when you hear native speakers talk, you may hear the NG sound get reduced a bit. Okay. So instead of like his singing is getting annoying, his singing is getting annoying. Okay. Which is perfectly fine. You may hear like his singing is getting, so again, compare his singing versus his singing. I think in general that's fine. What I would caution though is just make sure that you're speaking at a natural pace, because if you're talking too slowly, that sort of reduction where you drop the NG and just make it an N sound might sound less natural. You know, if you're saying like his singing is getting annoying, that's way too slow. You need more rapid speech for reductions. It's like his singing is getting annoying. Something like that. Those would be my recommendations. So again, safest choice is always just to use the NG. But in terms of getting that natural sound, it's also appropriate to drop the NG sound at times. All right, if you guys have some other questions about that first sentence, be sure to let me know. Really quick, I'm going to grab my water bottle or my cup. Give me 1 second.
Like what you're hearing? Let us know by liking and subscribing.
We always try to hydrate here on the stream, so I encourage you, if you're watching this as well, it's a great time to take some sips. Let's take a look at our second sentence here. When the dust settles, we'll know who won. When the dust settles, we'll know who won. Lots of reductions here. This is also an idiom. This is an expression. It's like when the dust settles. That means that like maybe something crazy or chaotic or just really busy is happening, and then it's over. It's like when the dust settles. So whenever the craziness ends, we'll know who won. Okay. So just note on that phrase, relatively common expression. When the dust settles, we'll know who won. Let's kind of let's work backwards a bit. We'll know who won. Starting off with the ah sound. For instance, like in a word like stop, you're going to get this same sound on the word one. Okay. I mean, excuse me, what am I saying? There actually is no ah sound. You're going to get more of the schwa sound. Lots of schwa sounds here. So you're going to get it on dust. You're also going to get on one. The thing I think I was getting distracted by is it's like who won. So you're going from this oo sound on who. This is the oo sound you see, for instance, like in blue or tooth. And then you're going to link it with a little bit of a W sound onto that schwa sound on one. It's like who won. Notice it's not who won. You want to make sure it's linking. It's going to make it sound a lot smoother. Who won. This sound is pretty much the sound whenever you hear someone thinking in English to do like or like things like that. Okay, so super common sound in English, super vital sound. If you're just getting started with American English and you're not sure what sound to begin with, this is typically one of the first vowel sounds you really want to try to master. Okay, if you can get comfortable with this sound, this schwa, this sound, then it'll be a lot easier to transition to other sounds. So for this schwa sound, just some general things. Again, low and open in the throat. So again, it's more what I see with a lot of students is they're producing more of an ah. So like instead of saying one with the schwa, I'm hearing a lot one. Hear a difference between one. Hear a difference between those. Let me know in the chat if you can. So this is just to kind of highlight the differences. It's a different vowel sound if you're doing that ah. Okay, so watch out for that. We're also going to see that for the word dust. Just a note, dust. Same thing here. You don't want to say dust. You want to say dust. So it's not da. It's more duh, dust. And of course, if you go to our channel page and type in schwa, And if you're not sure how to spell schwa, you can. It's gonna be one way to spell it. You can also take off the C. You'll see lots of content talking more about that schwa sound. Okay, so you'll see that on dust, and you'll see it on one. In terms of other sounds, we'll know one. Again, one is going to get your stress, so you really want to make sure that that schwa sound is really clear. It's also can be your stress on that first syllable. I mean, that first thought group when the dust settles. So it's a pretty important sound there. If you don't stress dust, you could stress the word settles when the dust settles. When the dust settles, and again, we get back to that sound we saw in the previous sentence for settles. Se, again, mouth mostly closed, lips pretty straight. You want your tongue to take up a lot of space in your mouth. So you want to raise the back, you want to raise the middle, you want to raise the front up, push everything up a little bit. We're trying to block air in the mouth, but let lots of air through the throat. Okay, it might sound a little contradictory, but you want a lot of air here, but you don't want too much air here. Okay, so again, settles. My general advice to students, if they're having a hard time with that sound, maybe you're saying more saddles, saddles versus settles, settles. Close your mouth more, raise your tongue higher. Those are the immediate steps. If that's still not quite enough, try to straighten your lips a little bit more because they might be too concentrated here. Okay. Notice also too on settles, we get that fast D sound again, that flap T. It's like said, that the just kind of raising and lowering the tongue very quickly. After that, we have a dark L sound. It's like for that L. Notice I'm not actually raising the tip of my tongue. I'm keeping the front of my tongue down against the bottom of my mouth. So it's like This is very similar to the vowel sound. For instance, if you see like in the word book, oh, just very similar sorts of sounds there. Okay, not exactly the same, but very similar. So what you don't want is settle, that's not the sound we're looking for. We're looking for more of an It's like settles, settles. When the dust settles, or when the dust settles. All right, and if you have other questions about pronunciation of some words there, be sure to let me know. But otherwise, let's take a look at stress. So again, you could either stress dust or settles. And then for the last part, I would stress the word one. I think those would be your most common situations there. Yeah, Emmanuel notes the spelling for one. Okay, yeah, one. Perfect. Perfect. Trouble transition from the held T of dust settles. That's a really good point. So when you say dust settles, I'll be honest, you can use a held T. You could use dust settles. You can certainly do that. But honestly, especially if you're, following the rules of rapid speech and linking, you can get away with removing the T. Instead of just using held T, you could, in theory, remove the T when the dust settles. I'm not really holding my T there. I'm really just going from S to S. Dust settles when the dust settles. Okay. This works because of context. Okay. When people are listening to you, they're not just listening to how you're saying every single word. They're listening for there's the context. They're especially listening for vowel sounds. Again, American English is so focused on vowel sounds. So as long as you have the right vowel sound and your word sounds similar enough to the word you're intending to say, your listeners won't have any issues with understanding you. They won't even notice in most situations if you're not really pronouncing things super clearly. Like if I just say when the dust settles, and things like that. Again, I'm not really holding the T. I'm just removing it completely. So one of the key things, and this is hard for a lot of students coming from languages that are more syllable timed, or a lot of languages that are consonant based. My Romance languages, I'm looking at you, my Italian speakers, French speakers. I would guess it also extends to Romanian to a degree as well. A lot of these languages are so focused on consonant sounds. And so when it comes to American English, it can be difficult letting go, having that confidence to just get the vowel as close as possible and weakening everything else. That can be very difficult to shift to. So just kind of watch out for that. For dust settles, because I do think it's a valid point. And the who. Yeah, so we'll pay attention to the linking of how to link who to the other words here. Well, no one. Well, no one. Notice again, we get that reduction. No one. I would practice just saying that 3 times. No one. It's like no one. Another exercise you can try doing is just do the vowel sounds, take away the consonants, and just see if you can link those. Like oh, no one, no one. It's kind of just kind of bouncing between those really fast. That can help just try to keep things really smooth. Because my guess is you may be making the sounds a little bit too strong if you're finding that that is an issue. Okay. Hello to G Technical Solution. I haven't. Great to see you here. Be sure to check in future live streams too. It'd be great to hear from you more. Basics should be clear. When I would agree with this, especially when I'm thinking of basics. I'm especially thinking vowel sounds. You want to especially make sure your vowel sounds are clear. You have some flexibility with consonant sounds in being understood, but if your vowel sound, unfortunately, English again is paying so much attention to vowel sounds that if your vowel sound is even just a little bit off and someone is not used to hearing different accents in American English, that can cause a huge problem. If you're saying the sound when a native speaker is more used to the sound, but you can't hear a difference between those, that can really cause confusion to people. If you're saying like, oh, I sat, when you really intended mean when I sat, that's an issue, because set and sat are 2 different words. Okay, so you really need to make sure your vowel sounds are clear. But again, context is extremely helpful and allows you to, you in a lot of ways, you don't want to have perfect pronunciation. You want to have pronunciation that flows. That's going to give you a much more natural sound. Would be the argument I would make. Okay, so that's a lot of information from me, but you guys are not here just to hear me talk all day. You want to get some feedback for your pronunciation, and I totally understand that. So let's get started listening to you guys. Oh, let me add myself there, right? Again, it's not little, it's more little.
The G host was class.
Are you feeling that here, or here? Okay, so you've seen me put on my headphones because I'm going to be listening to your pronunciation. I'm also about to share my screen so that way, and also share my audio so that way you guys can see what I see and hear what I hear. And you'll also see me kind of bouncing my eyes just so I can see our files and things like that so I don't lose track. And of course, if you are just joining us, yeah, it's great to have you here. If you are just joining us for the first time, for whatever reason, welcome. It's great to have you. If you want us to look at your pronunciation, this is how you do it. You can go to this link at the top of the chat box. It's going to take you to a screen, which I can show you, where you will be able to enter your own pronunciation and things like that. Let us take a look at that. Okay, so again, this is the document. Now, let's actually make this a little bit bigger. I'll put myself in a corner. Okay, yeah, so this is the document that you will see when you go to the link. Again, at the top of the chat box, you'll see we already have a couple files. Not too many today, which is great. We have lots of room for you if you want to add in your own pronunciation files and things. We may also have time today if you are one of our people here already. If you have the website open, we may even have some time to listen to your adjustments and things like that based on the feedback that we give today. Yes, and yeah, this is all free. Our Saturday live streams with the Schwa Mill is free for you to kind of get some feedback in. We're trying to help you out. Okay. And of course, I do have to say, if you find the feedback that we're about to give helpful, we give practice like this every single day of the week in our Telegram group. And basically, all you need to do is you just need to join the channel. You can see that right below this stream. There's an option to join the channel. You can also go to patreon.com/fluentamerican for a slightly cheaper way to get into the Patreon group as well. Okay. Or the Telegram group. And again, the site for that would be patreon.com/fluentamerican. And yes, Emmanuel, not too many files today. If we have time, maybe we can get out a little early, but we'll see. All right. So again, these are all the files that I have so far. And let's play our first one. And let's see what's going on here.
Whether the cells will know who won.
Hmm.
Whether the cells will know who won.
Okay. Hello also to Zobeda checking in. Great to see you, miss. Okay, so we're having this sentence here. Give it a second to show up on the screen. Okay, let's play this one more time.
Whether the cells will know who won.
Okay, so I think a lot of your words are kind of blurring together. And I think I know the reason why.
Whether the cells.
Let's talk a little bit about pitch. We haven't talked much about that today. So what I see with a lot of students is that people are generally using maybe like 3 or 4 pitch levels in English. You have your natural pitch, like for instance, we can use the schwa sound as an example. Just for a moment, say the sound like at whatever feels natural for you. However you just did that, that's probably your base pitch. Okay, that's like your default pitch. Okay, so let's put that, whatever you just did, let's kind of put that like right here. Okay. So in general, what I see with students is that they're using this pitch level. They're maybe using one higher. So for instance, like and then they may also be using one lower. It's like and then they're kind of just alternating between those 3. This results in speech that sounds a little bit flat. You may hear people call it robotic. It sounds a little bit like a robot and things like that. Because if you listen to native speakers, not all native speakers, but very many native speakers talk, you're going to hear a much wider range of pitches. This is partly because, again, English is stress timed, but it's also just the way English works in terms of the rhythm and things like that. Okay? So we want to try to expand the number of pitches we're using. So I would recommend trying to do a quick little scale. Okay, so see if you can take your base pitch and see if you can go up 3. It's like and let's see if we can go down 3 too. It's like okay. We're not necessarily always using that highest one, and we're not necessarily always using that lowest one, but you know, it's like tools in your tool, like in your tool belt, you know, your toolkit. Yeah, you don't need every tool for every situation, but there are always times where you may need that extra tool. Okay, so you want to have those tools at your disposal, because my guess is that for most of the times when you're speaking in English, you're never touching that low point, that and you're also probably very rarely touching that high point, like you know. So let's try to incorporate them a little bit more, because right now, if you don't, it's going to result in speech that just sounds a little bit flatter. So again, to give an example,
Whether the cells.
it's like when the dust. I want you to pay attention to when the dust.
Whether the.
When the dust, when the dust, when the dust, when the dust. And I get it. We haven't gotten to our stressed words. So you're going to stress the word settles.
Whether the cells.
So I like what you're doing there. It's like you dust, se, dust, se, dust, se. So you are raising your pitch on settles, which you want to do because settles is, you're using that as your stressed word. Okay. So that would entirely make sense. You want to do that. So I like what you did there in terms of your shifting and pitch. We need to do more though, because even for your reduced part, we need to add a little bit more contrast. And it's tricky because if you go up too high, that's telling your listener that this is a stressed word. And we don't want that to happen. So what are we going to do instead? I would recommend going down, because I think right now we're kind of staying at the same pitch level.
Whether the.
When the dust. So let's try saying those 3 words, and let's try going down for each of them. When the dust, when the dust, when the dust. Okay. And as Emmanuel has said here, that can be a tricky exercise. Okay. It can feel artificial. So again, I would really recommend a couple times a day, just try doing like a scale, like and then opposite, like and see how low you can go, see how high you can go. Just practice doing that, incorporating it more, because it can be difficult. It can be completely different than how you're used to talking. It's like when the dust settles, when the dust settles. Do you hear that variation? When the dust settles. Notice how low I am on dust and compared to settles. And let's compare that to the original.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. So especially on the word dust, probably want to go a little bit lower just to add some extra contrast.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
We'll know who won. We'll know who won. We'll know who won.
We'll know who won.
Okay, a couple things for one. I feel like I'm hearing more one versus one. So this is a couple key things here with vowel sounds. You don't want your vowel sound to shift too much. You can almost hear it breaking in half.
We'll know who won.
One. Do you hear that, especially right before the end?
We'll know who won.
One versus one. Do you hear the difference between mine and this audio file? Okay, my vowel sound is staying more constant. It's not doing a shift. It's not breaking so much. Okay. My guess is that if we took off that N sound, and so instead of one, we just had wah. Just try saying that a couple times. This wah. And in fact, you can even just try doing a schwa sound by itself, then adding the W. So for instance, like wah, and then we can add the N back in. One. Wah, one. Wah, one. Say that to yourself and ask yourself. I would recommend recording yourself when you do it. Listen to it and ask yourself, do those vowels sound the same in all of them? When you do wah, one, wah, one. Are you hearing the sound the same in all three of those? If the answer is no, then that's an issue. Because again, in American English, they should sound the same in all of those positions. Okay, so my recommendation would be do that exercise and see where is the shift happening if there is a shift. Maybe you're doing okay, but then when you add that W sound, maybe you're doing like wah, wah, and that's not quite right, Because you want more wah. Or maybe and wah sound okay. And my guess is that for this audio, my guess is that you can probably actually do that okay. But when we add the N sound, we may be shifting things.
Know who won.
It's like wah, one, wah, one. When again, you want wah, one, wah, one. It's just a note. The N sound is just one of those letters. It's one of the consonants that has a very big impact on the vowel before it for a lot of students. So you want to try to minimize that. If you have a hard time saying one recommendation is to, again, do the exercise that we just did. Another thing you can do that's similar is do like wah, 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 wah. What am I doing? I'm saying wah, then I'm pausing, and then I'm adding the N sound back. Wah, 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 wah. And then you can speed it up and make that pause shorter and shorter. It's like wah, one, 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 one. Okay, so that's one exercise that you can do. Okay. Other options would include try saying it fast 3 times. Can you say one 3 times really fast, like one, 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 one? Okay. Doing it fast is one exercise you can do to strengthen the vowel sound and weaken the consonant. Because if you're saying one, 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 that's hard to say. You can't say that fast because that N sound is just taking too much time. So just repeating it as fast as you can, letting go, not focusing so much on getting that perfect N sound, but instead focusing more on that vowel. That can be a helpful exercise to weaken your consonant sound and make your vowel sound stick a little bit better. Okay. So that's a lot on pitch. And that's also a lot on vowel sounds there. We'll play the original audio one more time.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Yeah, so those would be my 2 big pieces of advice right now for that audio file. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about that, be sure to let me know. Thank you for sending the audio file. I do appreciate it. Thanks, Avi. Okay, I see we have a couple of things in the chat I just want to get to really quick. Again, we mentioned practicing going down in pitches is difficult. Yeah. If you're not used to doing it, yeah, that's going to be hard. In fact, that's probably even going to be harder than going up. Okay, but it's definitely an exercise that is worth doing because those reductions and things, people tend to not go low enough. That's a super common experience. Just the practice sentence. I was looking for a word that had multiple ing sounds. I could have done bringing or winging or things like that, but it's just the first one that came to mind. No one's singing is getting annoying. The singer, if you're watching this, we are not annoyed by your singing. You're more than welcome to continue sharing with us. Yeah, just watching out again. Perfect. Cool. Yeah, do it for a week and let me know how you feel. I would say 5 minutes a day for a week. I think you'll make some pretty good progress on that. The exception is when you do a rise falling on one. I mean, there's always opportunities. That's the joys and the curses of language learning, right? Is context determines things, not textbooks. Thus, those no one. I would say that if you use a rising intonation when dust settles, will know one. If you do that, that makes it sound like a question, like you're not sure. Like, oh, we'll know who won, maybe. Okay, it makes it sound like a question if you rise there. Whereas if you have falling intonation, we'll know who won. That makes it sound more like a statement. It's probably what you're more likely to hear in a general situation, in all honesty. But yeah, there's always different possibilities. Great question. Okay. And again, if you're just joining us, we're taking a look at your pronunciation files, listening to you and giving some suggestions based on what we hear. And you can send your own files by going to the link at the top of the chat box and see. All right, let's go back to your guys' files. Put myself back in here. Listen to this one. Go back to the beginning, actually.
His singing is getting annoying.
I like the effect that dragging out some of these sounds has.
His singing is getting annoying.
His singing.
His singing is getting annoying.
Yeah, so, we mentioned pitch. I like what's going on here, especially in the second half.
His singing is getting...
Do you hear that drop on is? His singing is. His singing is. I really like that shift.
His singing is...
Singing is. Singing is. Great shift. Great drop in pitch.
His singing is getting annoying.
I would have actually I would have kept getting lower as well.
Is getting.
Do you hear that? Is getting versus I would have kept getting pretty low instead of rising there.
Is getting.
It's getting more. Is getting. His singing is getting annoying. It's getting annoying. I would have maybe had a progression more like that. Is getting annoying. Is getting annoying. Is getting annoying more. Is getting annoying. Is getting, and then start rising higher in the pitch as we get to that ting. Getting annoying. Getting annoying. That's in terms of pitch. That would be the progression I personally would have done.
His singing is getting annoying.
Might also be good just to review that S sounding getting.
Is getting.
Because I'm hearing ge versus ga. So again, coming from a lower position in the throat, a little bit more open in the throat. You could also raise the back of your tongue higher to close things off a little bit more in the mouth. So instead of more
It's getting.
it's a ge more ga getting. Okay, see if you can hear the difference in those vowels. In the first half of this,
His singing.
I like the his. I like that.
His singing.
You honestly could have even shortened it a little bit more because it's not a stressed word. So instead of his singing more, his singing, you could have transitioned it to singing a little bit faster if you wanted.
His singing is getting.
His singing. the last major thing I have is I think singing is maybe a little bit dragged out long. I know it's your stressed word. You can hold it longer. That's fine. We don't necessarily have to hold it this long, though.
His singing is getting.
His singing, it's almost like 2 seconds, right? You could have shortened the time on that a little bit. Could still give you a more natural sound.
His singing is getting annoying.
Yep, those would be my big suggestions there. But I think there's lots of nice things going on. So pay attention just to those little kind of nitpicky things that I identified if you look for more natural sound. But in general, I think it sounds pretty good. Shok, I believe that was you. Thank you so much for sending that file. I do appreciate it. Okay, let's see who is next.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Okay, some things here.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
I think my big thing here is going to be vowel sounds.
When the dust settles.
Schwa sounds. And Marcos, no way. No, I harassed you about S sound. I mean, the schwa sounds a lot. I'm sorry.
When the dust settles.
It's like, again, I'm hearing like da, da, dust, dust, dust.
When the dust.
Dust, dust versus dust, dust. Do you hear a difference between that?
When the dust.
Dust, that's what I'm hearing, versus dust, dust. Okay. The mid back of your tongue, I think, needs to be higher. I think your mouth still needs to be more closed. And again, it's coming from a higher placement. You're kind of up in your headspace.
When the dust.
Da, like if I'm doing that, I'm kind of like around here. I don't think you're down here. Okay, so I also think your throat's a little bit slightly closed off. So I feel like I'm able to get more air through. So again, I would just practice doing that progression like duh. See where it's happening, where you're turning it more into Is it right from the beginning? Is it just saying that's a difficult thing to do? So then okay, I need to study the schwa sound more. Or maybe it's when you're adding that D. So like maybe the is okay. But then you add that D and it turns into da, like da, da. Okay. So then we know, okay, I can do the schwa, but linking it to consonants or other sounds a little bit difficult. Could also be the opposite too, right? It could be the S after the schwa sound. It's like doing like us. Is that sounding okay, or is it sounding like us, us? There's not quite the same vowel sound there. So maybe it's adding the consonant afterwards. Just some things to pay attention to there. Okay. Yeah. Other things for vowels.
When the dust settles, we'll know.
One here also settles a bit.
The dust settles.
Settles. Settles. Do you hear that? Like that's what I'm hearing.
Settles.
And again, it feels like we're up when the dust settles versus when the dust settles. Can you hear the difference between mine and this one?
The dust settles.
When the dust settles. Settles. Back of tongue high, middle of tongue high, front of tongue high, mouth more closed, lips spread out more. And again, placement low and open. Something that you don't necessarily have to do, but that some people do find helpful is when they speak in English, they have a lower pitch. Okay. In general, for a lot of languages, the pitch tends to be a little bit higher, whereas in American English, it tends to be slightly lower. Okay, so even just lowering your register, in having heard you talk plenty of times before, Marcos, I know that your register for your voice, I think, could go a little bit lower, and you'd still be in a natural feeling range. So just note about that for settles.
When the dust settles, we'll know.
Also on the all sound.
Settles.
Settles, os, or us. You could get just a little bit more air on that dark L sound. Os.
Settles, we'll know who won.
And this is very similar. I'm not going to go as much into detail because we already did. Listen to when I was looking at Avi's pronunciation of one. Very similar suggestions on that. Very, very similar suggestions.
We'll know who won.
because I'm hearing one versus one. Okay. Besides that,
When the dust settles,
it also sounds to me, let's just a quick note on stress. It sounds like you're stressing a little bit on dust and then also stressing settles. I would pick one. I don't think you need to stress both.
when the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Yes, based on how you're saying it, I would probably do a heavier stress on settles, and I would remove some of that stress on dust. And for the second half,
We'll know who won.
yeah, I think in general that's okay. Yes, those would be my big suggestions there. Let me know if anything is unclear. But Marcos, thanks as always for sending that audio. I always do appreciate it. All right, and in case you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. So again, my name is Geoff. This is Fluent American, and right now you are watching the Schwa Mill, which is a show we run every Saturday at this time, where we listen to your pronunciation and give feedback on it. Now, in case, and of course, as Emmanuel notes, craft your schwas here at the Schwa Mill. Schwas and other sounds. We're here to craft your accent. Okay, targeting your pronunciation every Saturday. If you want to send in your own pronunciation file, there's still plenty of time to do so. You will see at the top of the chat box a link where you can go to send in your pronunciation files. You have two choices of sentences that you can say. His singing is getting annoying. Or the second one, when the dust settles, we'll know who won. Okay. And also a quick note, maybe you're watching this on the replay, or maybe you're watching this live, but you're like, maybe you're a little nervous, a little uncomfortable. Today is not the best day to send your pronunciation. Maybe also just you don't have the equipment right now. That's perfectly fine. We use this same link every single Saturday. So what I recommend is save this link. I update it typically on Thursdays or Fridays with new sentences. So then you can send in your pronunciation file and we can take a look at your pronunciation the next live stream. It's always the same link though. Put this in your bookmarks and your favorites and you will have it. All right, let's take a look at some more again. Bring myself back. I don't think we heard this one yet.
His singing is getting annoying.
I think this is Marcos again. For the first sentence.
His singing is getting annoying.
Okay. One thing that you're going to hear for these INGs, you're actually going to hear more of almost more of that E sound, like ing, ing, ing versus ang, ang, ang. In general, I don't make this a really big issue. What I will say is that I think the more standard sound you'll hear is the short I sound, more that like ang, ang. However, you will also hear some speakers of American English, native speakers of American English, that instead of using an I sound, will use an E sound. So if you find that you're saying ing, 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 I think that's okay. Just make sure you don't hold it too long and do it fast. You know, it's not singing, it's more singing, singing. You want to make sure you're getting enough air through your throat to keep it open enough. Okay, so again, it's not ing, it's more ing, ing, ing. If you want to use more of that E sound, just a note on that. Listen to this again.
His singing is getting annoying.
I like your stresses. I like your stress on singing. I like your stress on annoying. I think those are great.
His singing is getting annoying.
I wouldn't be. Some options for reductions. It's always tricky with reductions, you know, because they're not always necessary, but there's certainly something that can help make a sentence sound more natural.
His singing is getting annoying.
You have this pause between singing and is.
His singing is getting.
His singing is. His singing is. So you're not really doing a whole lot of linking, which is not necessarily a problem, but I think something that can give you a slightly more natural sort of sound would be to link that NG sound on singing, the last NG, onto that short I on is. So instead of singing is, more singing is, singing is. So for instance, if I say, I'll say it my way, and I want you to listen to the original audio and see what sounds more fluid to you. His singing is.
His singing is getting.
Because otherwise, another thing too is that if you don't have that linking, is it, and I know this is going to sound ironic because it's what you're doing, it sounds like you're reading. You know, it sounds like you're reading off of a script.
His singing is getting annoying.
You know, it doesn't sound like what you would hear in a conversation, like, oh, his singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying. So I would link it more to give you that more natural sound. Another option too is you could reduce is and make it a contraction. So instead of his singing is, more his singing's getting, contract that, take off the short I completely, just keep that z sound, singing's getting, just trying to say it that way.
His singing is getting annoying.
I want to hear getting annoying again.
Getting annoying.
Yeah, so like right there, even you have a little bit more linking between getting and annoying. It flows a little bit more naturally. Okay, let's just note on that. Let me know if anything there is not clear. But as always, Marcos, thank you for sending that file as well. Okay, a couple quick things. Want to dust. I'm glad I actually said that sentence because notice that to dust, you want to dust. So you get that schwa sound, something to really pay attention to. Like, you want to dust, you want to dust. Quick things here. How do you say molten? Molten. Yeah. So again, when you have a T sound, before an N sound, again, typically you're going to do a held T plus an N. It's like molten, molten, molten. The same thing as like cotton or forgotten or written or eaten. Okay. If you're not sure or you want more practice with that, if you type in a held T in our channel page, or if you say like a stop T2, same thing. Type that in the search on our channel page, you'll see our videos. I think I have a list of the most common held T words with N. I have a video on that can be helpful for practice, but it's the same kind of idea. He's singing. His kid's annoying. I'm just a little bit confused on the grammar here. We're missing is he is singing. His kids are. I mean, you could say like he is singing. His kids are annoying. You could throw in the verb to be there. I think his kid's annoying. Or you could say his singing is annoying his kids. You could also say that too. Also a question here from Z.
Question.
Tell me some words for describing voices. She has a high-pitched voice. Instead of high-pitched voice, you want to use the past participle as your adjective. Okay, so she has type some things in the chat box as well. So you can say like a high-pitched voice. Okay. Another word that if it's really high-pitched, you could say like screechy. Okay. Another thing is like if it's lower and like kind of doing like vocal fry things, or like so it sounds like someone's been smoking cigarettes for like 20 years or something like that. You could say like the word like they have a scratchy voice. Another thing, one thing, for instance, what we often do, when we talk a lot about placement, different people have different views on placement, but one common goal of placement, if you have a low placement with your speech and it's very open, one of the goals that I'm working on with students, you don't have to do this, but in general, in standard American English, listeners often, quote unquote, enjoy hearing a voice that has a slightly lower register, that has a very pleasant, like warm quality. Okay. So another way you can describe a voice that's a little bit lower and kind of pleasant to hear was warm. Another thing is like the thing we're going for a lot is something called resonance, where you get that vibration. So to give a quick example, if you compare like an E sound that has a high placement. So for instance, when you say E, like that's all in my head. I'm not really getting a whole lot of vibration down here. It's all in my head. And if you have a sound that's only in your head, you just are not able to get resonance. You're not able to get depth and resonance and warmth that you're able to if you get it from a lower position. So instead of doing like E, it's a little slightly grating. You feel a lot of vibration in your head. It can be a little bit annoying versus just like an E. By doing that, you're getting a greater depth, warmth. Okay. So when people talk about warmth in the voice, that's kind of what they're referring to. And one of the goals that I have for my students is trying to achieve more of that warmth and resonance when they're speaking. Okay. Just some things there. If I think of some other things related to describing voices, I will let you know, Z. Thank you for the question. Avi notes the trouble pronouncing R when it's in the middle of a word or end of word, especially when it's followed by a placement, which for R sounds at the end of the word tend to be tricky. What I would say is, again, kind of similar exercises to what I actually gave for your recording for one. What I often see with students is, I think a lot of students studying American English are very much aware of the R sound. They almost they almost kind of like put the R sound in like this category. It's like, oh my gosh, it's the R sound. Oh my god, how am I gonna do this R? Like they give it really special treatment. When in reality, the R sound is strong in the sense that it's probably stronger than a lot of other languages are doing. Okay. But at the same time, you don't want to make it overbearing. It's very easy for an R sound to take over a word. But as we've also said earlier, in American English, vowel sounds are more important than consonant sounds. So whatever vowel sound is coming before your R, in general, you want that to be stronger than your R sound. So we don't want the R to take over. And yes, Emmanuel, when I'm talking about resonance, yes, subwoofer breaking, turn the bass up to like 11 and things. Okay. And I think something you see when you're studying pronunciation, if you have a sound that you know is difficult for you, you tend to overstress it and like make it really stand out in your pronunciation, which ironically makes the problem kind of worse because now you're like amplifying it so much more. Just kind of watch out for that. The R sound, we don't need to be doing that necessarily. And great, Avi, give me some examples. Some words are hard to say. Let's use the first one. So for instance, like sword. Okay. So what first thing I would say is pronounce it 3 times really fast. Can you say or for me really quick? Like or. Okay. If you're saying or, then automatically your R sound is too strong. Okay. So like ask yourself, how did I just say or? Did I say or did I say or? Okay. Which one's more pleasant to hear? Which one is smoother? Hopefully you would think the first one or okay. So what am I doing? Well, I'm emphasizing more of that o sound before the R. The R sound is still there, but it's a lot weaker. Okay, so that's the first exercise I would really recommend. And the other thing too with R sounds that you want to keep in mind too, again, low placement and lots of air. A lot of people are not getting enough air through the throat, so you're getting a lot of like It's like or sounds like that, and you need more air to come in through the throat. And I get it. In your mouth, the back of your tongue tends to be high for that sound, right? But just because the back of your tongue is high doesn't mean we're trying to block air in the throat. We need the air to come through here, so we don't need our throat so closed off. So like one exercise you can try doing is start with your throat more closed off with that R, and then try to open it. It's like So I'm keeping it here. My placement is not changing. I'm keeping it here the entire time, but I'm opening my throat to allow more air to come through. Okay, so just doing like some exercises like that. Just to give you an example for that other word you gave. So observer. Another exercise you can try doing is take off all the consonants, just say the vowel sounds. So like observer, she starts off with schwa. It's like and then you have observer, observer. Doing that sort of progression too can help weaken your R sound as well. That's a great question. Is sometimes, if you look up vowels, there's that one symbol of like the it's like an E kind of with like an R attached to it. So yeah, if, for instance, a word like bird, the sound there would be considered a vowel. Okay. But the key thing I would say is that, again, making sure enough air is coming through, and whatever sound is coming before that ending like try to just hold that just maybe a little bit longer, and don't make your R sound so closed off. It's a tricky sound. We have videos on it. If you type in R pronunciation or R sound on my channel, I have one video talking. I think I looked at there's a basketball player in the NBA named Giannis, and I used examples of his pronunciation to go over 5 different types of R sounds in American English. So if you're looking for more practice with the R, take a look at that. We also have a workout video that looks at L and R sounds. If you, again, go to our channel, I have a playlist that says English workout. One of the videos there is for L and R, which also goes into placement practice, getting enough air through. So definitely take a look at those if those R sounds are giving you some difficulty and you're looking for more practice. All right, let's go back to everything we were doing before. Yes, that's our symbol with that R. Thank you. And it was always coming in a clutch. Let's take a listen to this one.
His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying.
I'm gonna play it one more time.
His singing is getting annoying.
Not bad. I like this.
His singing is.
So you're kind of reducing that. We mentioned this earlier. So when you're saying singing, you're reducing that final ng.
His singing is getting annoying.
Singing is instead of singing is. So you're reducing that ng just to an end sound, a weakened N, and that's okay.
His singing is getting.
I like your linking from that singing is, so attaching that short I sound to that N. Good. I like that.
His singing is getting annoying.
I think anything I say is going to be relatively nitpicky.
His singing is getting.
You could have kept it a little lower in pitch on getting.
His singing is getting.
Yeah, is getting versus is getting. You could have kept it lower, a little bit flatter, a little bit longer, if you wanted. So I'll just experiment with that.
His singing is getting annoying.
But I like that getting annoying. Annoying. I do like that progression there at the end. So that gradual slide up. That sounds really smooth. I like that a lot.
His singing is getting annoying.
Yeah, honestly, those are the main things kind of standing out to me here. If you have specific questions on things you weren't sure about for that, let me know. But in general, I like this.
His singing is getting annoying.
Yeah, just weaken getting a little bit. Again, that's not really your stress, so you don't need to raise that pitch. Yeah, that's all I have. I wish I could be more helpful on that, but hopefully that's good. Thank you for sending that file. I appreciate it. Next one here.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Now this one sounds maybe slightly. I'm getting a little bit lost in terms of the sound. Like if I just heard this once and someone was talking to me, I'd probably need them to repeat it.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Okay, let's do it in two halves. Let's take a look at the first half.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. When the dust settles. Why am I having a harder time?
When the dust settles.
Is it the word dust?
When the dust settles.
Okay, so settles is very clear.
When the dust settles.
When the dust. So like the and dust are very similar here.
When the dust settles.
When the dust, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. Maybe we're holding it too long.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. When the dust settles. When the dust, or it could be this. Something about this. If I just heard it on the street, I feel like I would have the. I feel like again, I would need you to repeat, and I want to give some like solid feedback as to why that is.
When the dust settles, we'll know. When the dust settles.
When the dust. It could be the schwa sound on dust. When the dust. Okay, so I have a couple of theories, and I could be way off on this too, but my recommendations here would be
when the dust.
I would have liked to have heard this. I would have liked to have heard this with a lower pitch on dust, just to give it more separation from the. It's like when the dust. I do think you're going down a little bit on dust, but to add to the separation, so that to make sure that they don't blur together too much. Try saying like when the dust settles, when the dust settles. Just taking it like an extra step lower on dust just to add more contrast, because I think that will help it stand out a little bit more. Because right now it's a little bit too close to the.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won. When the dust settles.
I would also say on settles, this is a very minor thing. You could have shortened it a little bit. You don't have to drag it out quite that long. It doesn't need to. When the dust settles, you can be when the dust settles. When the dust settles.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
We'll know who. How about that? We'll know who.
We'll know who won.
We'll know who. Good drop. Good job. We'll know who. We'll know who. So going down on that who. I think it was really helpful there.
We'll know who won.
We'll know who won. Because otherwise, we'll know who. That could blend together very easily if you didn't have that drop. But because you do, it makes it really clear. So I really like that. Great job.
We'll know who won.
I made a comment on this several times already. I would say one, take a look at the comments I gave for Avi earlier. So I think your Schwa sound there is not quite as clear. It's like whoa versus what. So do that similar exercise like one, kind of see where is the shift happening in your vowel. Okay. Those would be my big suggestions there. Thank you so much for sending that audio file. I do appreciate it. Okay, so we have one more from our original group, which is great. Before we get to it, though, just a quick reminder.
Like what you're hearing? Let us know by liking and subscribing.
Also want to take a quick look at just some things that I have missed in the chat. Yeah, drop the T and dust. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's what I was hearing too. That's Red. Thanks for checking in on stream again. Great to see you once more. That's a common word, but I always thought here and here had a long vowel. You're seeing it written with a short I. Where did you see it transcribed that way? Now I'm curious. We're gonna do some research. Oh man, get excited. Let's look at this. Put myself in a corner here. Saying here being written with a short I sound. Here. Now people are just transcribing this. Oh man, so many versions. That's so interesting. Here. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know why it's transcribed with a short I sound. That is news to me. I would have transcribed it with the that E sound. I wish. Let me hear the main one.
Here.
That's because I'm definitely hearing an E sound. That's so interesting. I don't know why it's transcribed that way. I think if you pronounce it with that E sound, I think you'll be okay. Let me hear the. Let's see, for ears, it's probably going to be a similar thing. Yeah, I don't know. What I would say is that, look at the homophone for ear. Yeah, I mean, it's written with that E sound as well. So what I would say is that, hey, when you see this transcription with this symbol, that short I and then the sounds, or like here, then if you see that in the transcription, then I would interpret that as like an ear sound. That's how I would handle that personally. But yeah, I don't. That's a great question. I don't have a great answer for you about why the transcription is like that. Yeah, that's such an interesting idea. Like having some the word Ben. Now I will say that for Ben, Ben, you definitely want more of that short I. You're not going to say bean. Bean is a whole different word, right? But Ben. Yeah, is Ben? Did they transcribe Ben with a short I or a long I? In general, I don't have a problem with the. Yeah, no serious with the short I. Yeah, there's always going to be little systems and things that are a little bit interesting to look at. In general, I don't have a problem much. I'll put it this way: if you're trying to transcribe English, the IPA, especially the American English IPA, gets much closer to the pronunciation of a word than like English spelling it does, unless you know where the word actually comes from. I'll put it that way. But yeah, that's a great question. I just don't have an answer to. In general, I don't have too many problems with the IPA. I know some people do, but it doesn't bother me a whole lot. I wouldn't want to be tasked with trying to create a whole phonetic alphabet for a language. That sounds horrible to me. So I appreciate the aim of what they're doing. Cool. So that was that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's news to me. Last file from our original group. Let's take a listen to this.
His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying.
His singing is getting annoying. This again kind of has that impact. I would say it sounds like it's being read from a page, which I get it is. But I think like if you were actually to hear this sentence in an actual conversation, I don't think you would hear it quite being said this way. So let's listen to this again.
His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying. His singing is.
One thing I would say is that take a look at it. Listen to singing, how you're saying singing. And I'll say it first. So I want you to compare mine to yours here. Okay. Singing.
His singing is.
What's the difference? Singing.
His singing is.
I think your consonant sound is a little bit stronger than mine. Okay. So again, similar exercise that we did earlier. Can you say singing 3 times? Singing. Does yours sound like mine? If you're saying singing, one is going to be longer. 2 is your consonant sounds are going to be stronger. Okay, so again, try to emphasize your vowel sounds more than your consonant sounds, because right now I think your consonants are kind of taking over a little bit, so you can make the NG sound a little bit weaker.
His singing is getting annoying.
I like your progression in terms of pitches, especially is getting.
Singing is getting.
Do you hear that? Singing is getting. I like your movement there. I think that's a nice movement.
Singing is getting annoying. Is getting annoying.
Why does this sound like it's being read and not spoken?
Getting annoying.
I think it's the annoying. It's annoying. His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying.
It's getting annoying.
Getting annoying. You probably want the oi sound to be stronger and a little bit sharper in your intonation instead of annoying. More annoying. His singing is getting annoying. His singing is getting annoying. You probably want a sharper fall to make it sound a little bit more dramatic. Imagine that, if you're saying a sentence like this, you're probably a little bit annoyed, right? You're probably not the happiest. So I would definitely say take a look at that.
Getting annoying.
Because right now I just think that the intonation you're doing is just not as natural as what you would hear in real life. Okay? All right, so those have been my big suggestions there. I'm going to give you guys back your screen and audio for a moment. I need to take a quick water break, but in the meantime.
Like what you're hearing? Let us know by liking and subscribing.
Do have a question. Where is the singer? Great question. I don't have an answer to. I wish I did. I see Zabeta has sent us a couple files. I just want to screen those. Okay, let's take a look. First one. So I know you wouldn't be cussing us out, but I just want to check. Okay. Always got that strong voice. Okay, so we'll listen to those. By the way, guys, if you are watching this and you are finding this helpful, just a quick reminder again, we do this sort of practice every single day of the week. And it's, it's kind of like a personal trainer at the gym. You don't need a personal trainer to work out, but a lot of people like having that kind of motivation, having that daily encouragement to be like, oh, we need to do this. Sometimes it's just helpful because if you're just on your own, you don't always know what to study. You don't always know what to do. And so that is exactly why we have our Telegram group.
Eel, please. I think your O sounds are a little bit tense. I'm going to let O take off the T.
So again, this is very similar to what we're doing today. I listen to your files, then give you some feedback and things like that. So if you're looking for some daily practice, that's what our Telegram group is for. You can join by joining the channel below, or you can go to patreon.com/fluentamerican for a bit of a discount for $5 a month. Maybe you didn't like the first sentence. Again, singer, it was not an attack on you. I promise. I promise it's not you. It's me. It's me. All right, let's share again. Take a look at our last couple files. Okay. Sharing everything once more. All right, first up is this one here.
His singing is getting annoying.
Real heavy stress on singing and reductions elsewhere. Like his singing is getting annoying.
His singing is getting annoying.
So you're kind of doing one stress, just the stress on singing, and everything else gets reduced. And that certainly can work in the right context. If you stress singing, what that would suggest is clarification. Like you said something, people didn't hear you, and they're like, "Oh, what did you say?" Like his breathing is getting annoying. Like you're upset he's still alive. His breathing's annoying, and you're like, "No, his singing's getting annoying." Like something like that.
His singing is getting annoying.
Okay. I would say if it in a more general situation, instead of getting that heavy stress on singing, you would expect the stress to be more on annoying, because that's your last major content word. It's an adjective. It's the end of the sentence, end of your thought group. So in general, again, if we're going by quote unquote textbook rules, we would expect the stress to fall on singing, it's the stress to fall on annoying, not the stress to fall on singing.
His singing is getting annoying.
Versus his singing is getting annoying. Singing's getting annoying. So if you wanted one stress, I think that's perfectly fine. But again, I would just put it on annoying.
His singing is getting annoying.
I would also say, so I'm hearing kind of like a rising intonation on annoying.
Getting annoying.
Getting annoying. Getting annoying versus getting annoying. Annoying. I probably would use more of a falling intonation, because I think that would be more standard. Again, end of a sentence, you would expect it to fall, not rise.
His singing is getting annoying.
I like your linking between singing and is. It's like that ng to the is.
His singing is.
Singing is. His singing is. Singing is. Good. And I like your pitch shift as well, going down. That's great.
Singing is getting annoying.
Is getting annoying. Yeah, so I think the big thing there is shifting the stress a bit onto annoying, and also playing around with that intonation a bit. I think that'll give you a more natural sound there. Okay. And listening to the last file.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won. When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Okay. I'm already going to tell you for one, again, very early on in the stream when I was looking at Avi's, I mentioned lots of exercises to do for the word one. So I'll definitely say check out the beginning of the stream for that.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. So you have that rising intonation on settles. I get that. That makes sense. You have this thought group clause ending. So having a rising intonation there.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. When the dust settles. I think it's also equally common for this phrase to also hear a falling intonation on settles too. So instead of saying when the dust settles, you'll also hear when the dust settles. When the dust settles. You could also have like a fall rise settles. Settles. Like you may also hear a fall rise there as well. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with having a rising intonation there.
When the dust settles.
I do like your schwa sound on dust.
When the dust settles.
Dust. Marcos, if you're still watching, I'd like you to listen to that dust there.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
I like your linking for the first half.
When the dust settles.
When the dust settles. I like that, especially like dust settles. I think that's very smooth. A lot of the things that I like in the first half, I'm not hearing as much in the second half, though.
The dust settles, we'll know who won.
We'll know who won. It feels very detached. We'll know who won. We'll know who won. So I feel like we're missing out on some of the linking there.
Settles, we'll know who won.
We'll know who won versus we'll know, fine, but know who, no, we'll know who won. We'll know who won. It's like no. Notice how I'm linking those together to join. Almost becomes like one word. We'll know who won. No, that W sound in some ways actually gets chopped off and just goes from like the O sound just kind of slides into the oo. We'll know who won. Okay. And then ooh one, no one. See if you can kind of join all of those words together. It almost becomes just like one super long vowel. Okay. Oh one. Okay.
When the dust settles, we'll know who won.
Yeah, because right now it just sounded very detached. We'll know who won and things like that. Zubeda, let me know if anything there is not clear. Yeah, as Emmanuel says, one is tripping us up. We're all no one wants to say one. No one wants to win. Come on, guys. The question here on stress words. Yeah, so when you have a word that's stressed, you want to, in general, you want to hold the vowel. I'm always a little nervous to say this. Yes, you do want your vowel sound to be a little bit longer, but don't make it too long. You don't want to overstress it. You don't want to say, we'll know who won. That's a little bit too much. We'll know who won. We'll know who won. It's just a little bit longer than the preceding words, than the other words that are reduced. Okay. The other indicator as well is that you want to raise the pitch a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So Beta also knows, and this is a super common strategy. If you see a comma, use a rising intonation. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. That's kind of like your textbook rule. Your textbook rule says that if you see a comma, rising intonation because it's an unfinished thought. What I would say, though, is that pay attention to native speakers. Like when you're doing shadowing exercises and things like that, pay attention to native speakers because that's not always going to be the case. It's a good rule of thumb. It's a great theory, but it's also something that in practicality, in real life, we're going to see is not always the case. Okay, so just kind of watch out for that. If you're in a situation you don't have context, yeah, it's a great strategy to use. But just understand it doesn't always work that way. Same thing with like thought groups. If you're listening for pauses in a native speaker's speech, like it's just an exercise, you're just trying to practice your pauses when you're talking. In general, when you have punctuation, those are natural places to pause. Okay. And I get it. You see a comma, natural place to pause. You see a period, natural place to pause. Nothing wrong with that. But what we'll often see, though, when you actually start listening to native speakers is thought groups do not follow punctuation. Just because you see a period or just because a comma is there, especially like if you see the writing, does not necessarily mean that the thought group ends there. Okay. Thought groups do not follow grammar. Thought groups do not follow punctuation. You will not always hear native speakers pause at those places. And sometimes pausing at them too regularly can actually make your speech sound less natural. Okay, so it always depends on context. Context is always more important than any pronunciation rule and things like that. Context determines everything. Okay. I'm going to just take one last quick look at our file. Give me 1 second to pull it up, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Zubeda, thank you so much for sending that file. I appreciate it. Let's see what we have here. Beta, I'm going to refresh just to double check. So yeah, if you sent in a pronunciation file today, where did I go? I need to bring myself back. Cool. And those are all the ones I see. Great. Okay. Give you guys back your screen. Okay. If you sent us a pronunciation file today, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that has been the Schwa Mill. Again, every Saturday at this time, we take a look at your pronunciation and give some feedback and things. Now, if you joined us today and maybe you like the idea, but you're nervous about sending your own audio or pronunciation files, or you're not sure how to do it, again, at the very top of this live stream, the chat box, you'll see a link where you can send in your pronunciation files. We would love to hear your audio in a future live stream. That link never changes. So this is the same link that we're going to use next week for the next episode of the Schwa Mill. Again, target your pronunciation, craft your accent, and things like that. Take a look at Thursday. Friday is usually when I'm updating the document, so that way we can get your pronunciation files. It would be great to hear you. If you're watching our stream for the first time, thank you so much. If you're watching our stream for the 100th time, thank you so much as well. Again, my name is Jeff. This is Fluent American. We have a video coming out tomorrow practicing saying the dates in American English, whether it's dates, months, years, in sentences. It's going to be an American English workout video. So there's going to be lots of repetition of sentences. That way you can hear them, practice shadowing, and listening to the difference between your pronunciation and mine. So lots of opportunities for that. Thank you guys so much for joining me on your weekend. I know there are many American English pronunciation resources out there that you could be checking. So, it's an honor that you guys checked us out on Saturday. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Thanks for your time, and I will see you guys tomorrow in our video, and then next week in our next live stream. You guys take care.